We are now live here with the 29-minute Hangout. Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited this week because I have a super uber special guest for you tonight, and it's none other than our own Chef Katrina. We just realized between the two of us that we were interviewing all these other top leaders, and lots of people wanted to know kind of our story and how we got going in this. And so we figured it was about time that that we did that. So I have the privilege this evening of interviewing none other than Chef Katrina herself. And so this is going to be really awesome. So, you know, eliminate all of your distractions and get out your pads and pens and get ready to take notes, because as usual, this Hangout only lasts 29 minutes, and so we're going to pack it with information for you. There's nothing for you to buy, and we're not going to be selling anything at all. This is just purely kind of off the cuff, and in addition to that, you have the opportunity to ask us questions and get them answered live here during the 29-minute Hangout. So for those of you, if you're looking to do that, Katrina, do we use the Q&A or do we use the chat for questions?
The Q&A is open for questions.
Okay, so on this Google Hangout platform, if you put your little mouse thing over the screen, you'll see a menu over on the left, and you just click on the little turquoise thing that says Q&A, and then you can type in your questions, and we'll be happy to answer those. So with that being said, and only having 29 minutes, let's go ahead and get started. So Chef Katrina, I mean, I've known you for a while, and it's my privilege and honor to have partnered with you and done some business ventures here. And I have seen you just kind of skyrocket in the internet marketing world, particularly recently. I know you've got a new title, if we can call it that, in the internet world. And but I'm going to let you. Why don't you just jump in here and share your story, tell people, a little bit of your backstory, but also, what's going on that's new in your life and new and exciting. And yeah, so the floor is yours.
Wow, it's an honor to do this. I mean, it's a little weird. I'll tell you that right now. I'm so used to interviewing people that it's a little weird to be the interviewee. So I don't know where to begin. How I got started, or a little backstory about me. So I got involved in internet marketing, I want to say around 9 years ago. I was a network marketer at the time, like many of us, like searching for a way to build your business online. During that fun excursion of 9 years ago, I was also a chef at Disney, and I had a little bit of a conflict. I was in a leadership role, and I was in an MLM, and you can't market to those that you work for that are hourly. So what do you do when you don't have anybody to really market to? I didn't have any family or friends that lived here. I was in Florida by myself. So where do you go? So turned to the internet and stumbled across something called magnetic sponsoring, which is now called the attraction marketing formula, and fell in love with the idea of the funded proposal, the idea of lead with value, help others first. And so I stumbled through that for many years, between work, life, distractions, all sorts of fun stuff. The journey led me to one day owning my own restaurant. So I owned my restaurant for a whopping 9 months. Not as long as you, Doug, but I still consider myself a restaurateur now.
You've been through the fires, yes.
Yes. Through the trials and fires of that wonderful world. So 4 years ago, I owned a restaurant from January to end of September. And I learned a lot about the industry and running it as a business. And the one thing that I walked away from, my business partner and I, when we closed the doors at the end of September, was that we didn't really understand marketing and how to rebrand a restaurant that we had taken over, and we're trying to bring people back in the door again. And so we struggled with that. Both of us kind of looked at each other and said, maybe it's time to step away from this and let's go see what we can do. So I decided really to kind of focus back in on network marketing or marketing in general and try to figure it out, right? So still working those wonderful 40 to 60-hour work weeks, you know, having a blast being a chef at Disney. But I recognized one day when I walked in the door, I got this reaction when I said, "You guys are never going to believe who passed away today." And they all said, "Who?" And I said, "Zig Ziglar." And they go, "Who?" And they had this big question mark above their head, and I was like, I'm done. I'm in the wrong space for what I want to do with my life. So it really started making me evaluate where I was. And so I founded or I discovered a company or a product at the time called Elite Marketing Pro. And it's a marketing affiliate marketing system that really basically teaches you the fundamentals of marketing on and offline. So everything you would ever need to learn about marketing is found inside this system. And I said, you know, that's great because I'm totally lost. I'm stumbling around in the dark. Maybe it's time I actually stuck with one thing, one system, and actually learned it. So I made a choice that I was going to sit back and become a student of marketing. So I watched what Elite Marketing did. Elite Marketing Pro did. I watched them roll out. I watched how many times they emailed people, how many times they sent people to capture pages. I just started really kind of learning what it was to market a system or a business. And in that process, I left my job. And I completely said goodbye. I stepped out of my role at 12 years at Disney working as a chef. And I said, you know, I'm done with this. I want to go and do this world called internet marketing. And no matter what, I'm going to succeed or I'm going to succeed. So I made a very distinctive choice to do this, and I recognized that I had some tools and some training courses that I'd bought over the years, and one of them was a course that showed me how to build an info product. And I was always fascinated by the world of blogging because I hate it. I'm not a blogger. I will tell that to anybody if you ask me. But I understood the value of blogging. I understood that it was your home real estate online. And what really frustrated about me about all the blogging courses I'd picked up is that the training was an hour long for each module. It just kind of went on forever, and I always got lost and confused, and there was nobody there to answer any questions that I had about blogging or, you know, help or guide me along. So that's when I created my blogging course, and I created a blogging course literally out of my own frustrations of what wasn't working for me, and decided that I was going to put together 5-minute training videos. So everything was broken down into small little categories, very much like a recipe. Doug knows this. You break everything down to small, easy to follow steps. So I kind of took my experience as a chef and I put it into a blogging recipe. And then I also was frustrated by the lack of help that people were willing to give. All these gurus out there that were selling these courses and they were doing these great things, but nobody was there really to answer the questions. So I wrapped a training around this, and I wrapped a weekly hangout where I work with my blogging students every week, and we just answer fundamental questions, you know, where they're at, how to market, you know, any technical issues they're having with their blog. We do a show and tell, and we do it right there in front of everybody so that it just creates a really powerful environment. So that's kind of how I got here today in a short, long way around this. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, you touched on a couple of things, and I'm really a student of words. Maybe I've just been studying copywriting for too long or whatever, but there were a couple of occasions there where you said you made choices, and a lot of people look at those things as decisions, and making decisions scares a lot of people because they think, well, if I decide, then I can't change my mind. However, if I choose, then I can always choose differently. So, you know, it's just a matter of words and how you say things. But I find that because as an entrepreneur, that's one of those things that I pick up. I pick up on that with people, that entrepreneurs tend to use the word choices a lot more than they do decisions, because you got to be flexible and be able to, you know, change what you're doing. So, and it's funny because you talked about those 40 to 60 hour weeks, and I always told people, yeah, I mean, I love the restaurant business. I only have to work half days, 12 hours a day. And so that's funny. So, you know, that in your story, I mean, you kind of gave a good general view of how you went from being an employee or you were more than an employee, you were actually a manager in a managerial role or supervisory role, but went from being a non-entrepreneur, I guess you could call it, to to being in charge of your own time schedule. And so are you working less hours now than you did then?
You know what? I would actually say yes and no, because I can choose the days when I want to work harder, and I can choose the days when I want to work less. But it's completely up to me. And it was a tough transition to make, actually, because the first year that I wasn't working, because I'd been employed since I was like 15 years old. I always had a job. It was always part of get a job, work hard, get your pension, all that kind of stuff. So I'd been kind of trained to always have that job mentality, or that work ethic. So when the first year I stopped working, like, I wanted to go someplace, and I felt like I still had to like put in for vacation. I was still expecting to like have to schedule it and get approved by somebody to go and live my life. So that first year was actually a little bit awkward. It was a little I was my own worst enemy, because I could have the time off, and yet to travel and do things on my own time scale was difficult. I actually had to learn how to set rules in place. I actually had to learn how to get dressed in the morning. One of the mindset pieces I had to work on was actually still wake up, shower, get dressed, and go to work. So literally come down to my computer fully dressed, not in my pajamas. Otherwise, I was going to get absolutely nothing done, because then I would just like head out to the living room and maybe flip on the TV, and that was pointless. That was completely pointless.
Yeah. Make a cup of coffee, do all those things that distract us. But but that's that's interesting that you say that too, because I mean, one of the things that I found is that I probably don't work less working for myself than I did, even working in the restaurant. So I mean, but the difference is that it doesn't feel like work. So you might end up putting in more time, but it's time doing stuff that you like doing, and you're not, it's not like you're not punching a clock because you have to do this work at a certain time. You're just, you can get into the flow of doing something, and you don't have to stop when your time is up.
Yeah.
You can, I mean, when you're focused and you're doing something, you just keep going. So what are would you say are some of the primary differences, kind of the big things that are different between marketing online and being a coach and teacher of people to market online, and doing what you had done before?
Well, the one thing I recognize, though, is even as a chef, you and I both know this, Doug, is that our role really is also part education and teaching. Every time we bring in a new employee or a new culinarian, we have to train them on the basic fundamentals of what we want them to do in our kitchen. So we have to train them on the culture. We have to train them on the food and why we cook things a certain way and why we want the presentation to look a certain way. And we kind of have to explain a lot of what we're doing. And I think that's very unique to us as chefs, is that we do have that ability to really develop a kitchen culture. And I took that to the online industry when I left the kitchen, because I really still wanted to develop a culture online and a community online that was about helping and empowering other people, because you have to kind of tell people why they're doing something, or explain to them, as an affiliate marketer, because that's pretty much what I fell into, was affiliate marketing, was that, how do you use this to build a business? How is this beneficial to them? Why would they need this tool? Why would they need this system? So the correlation between the two was actually easier than I thought it would be, because I just took what I did with those that were in my kitchen and brought it to the online world, which was, how do you serve people, right? How do you educate them? How do you provide a safe place where they can go and ask questions and not feel like there's a stupid question or that they don't know enough? Because it's those people, I mean, sometimes it's the people that fear the question, the fear of being made fun of, they'll also ultimately become your greatest success stories or your greatest culinarians. It's because they just a little unsure of themselves, but with a little coaching, a little mentoring, I mean, they can grow into these amazing people. And for as much as I've seen, cooks go from humble beginnings to extraordinary leaders, I felt like the same thing could be achieved online. Always be willing to ask the questions and nurture people along, because you never know who's going to be the gem in the kitchen. You never know who's going to be the gem online. So you just got to have a belief system in place and really help and empower those. And then those that want to shine will shine brightly, and those that kind of want to still sit around and wait will continue to sit around and wait. And they show their true color as they go through any marketing system and any online system. And their perseverance, their determination is really what enables them to succeed online.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's basic human nature, and you drew a lot of correlations between the restaurant business and network marketing, but really it could be any business, any occupation. It really doesn't matter. If you want to learn a new skill, it's kind of like learning a foreign language. You have to learn the vocabulary. When we're talking about working in the kitchen, like you said, there's new people that come in every day. We have to teach them, here's how you hold a knife, here's how you chop stuff. It's very basic stuff. And for us, I mean, I know for me, there was a time when I got so far removed from where I started that it was hard for me to teach people, because I just did it without thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with just about anything. You could be a professional bike rider. I know the Tour de France is going on right now. Those guys that are riding, they can't remember how to teach you how to get on a bike and find your balance and pedal the pedals. I mean, and so it's the same thing with online marketing. For those of people that are watching that are thinking, well, I can't teach somebody something because I'm just a beginner. Well, the fact that if you're watching this right now, more than 90% of the people out there, the people that they don't even know what a knife is, let alone pick it up to chop something, in kitchen terms. It's that way with internet marketing. People just want to know, where do I start? And if you can help them on where to get started, that's huge. So, Katrina, I mean, thinking back to when you got started, what were some of the aha moments that you had? What were some of the breakthroughs that you had that told you that, okay, this is something I can do, and I can actually, make this my career instead of what I was doing before?
That's a great question, and it's got multiple little facets along the way. So what made me realize that I could do this is that I was determined enough to do it. I wanted this. I wanted a lifestyle where I wasn't going to be 80 years old and sitting in a kitchen with like some of my employees were. Some of my culinarians were in their 70s and 80s and still had to work. And it scared me to think that that was all I was ever going to have in my life, was that I was going to just let the years roll by and I was just going to be here in a kitchen, and I really wasn't going to find my purpose in life. So, when I left the culinary world, I got involved with Elite Marketing Pro, and it gave me a good foundation, because I started, like I said, I went to work watching other people. I became an added student of watching. Like, I just wanted to watch people. I wanted to see what people are doing. I kind of copied them, saw what was working for them, and kind of pulled it and made it my own. And then the next event that was really transforming for me was hosting a mastermind event for the beginning of the year for business owners, and watching them have breakthroughs and watching them kind of get out of their comfort zone. And one of the things at this mastermind last year that we talked about was, what is your biggest fear? And what can you do to address that fear right now? Like, who is somebody that you would ultimately love to speak to today, but are so scared to go up to and maybe ask to have lunch with, or, hey, can you take a look at this, or just introduce yourself? Like, who was somebody that you really wanted to meet? And at the time, it was Tim Irway. He was literally down the street from where I was hosting this mastermind. I said, how cool would it be if I actually got to sit down and have lunch with Tim Irway, to buy him lunch? So I actually watched this in practice happen. One of the girls there, she, the author of The Go Giver, I can't remember his name, invited her to coffee, and she couldn't make it because she didn't have a driver's license. And 6 people in the room jumped up and said, "I'll drive you myself. You better call him and tell him that you could make it." And I was like, so I actually watched her get on the phone and make this phone call, and I was like, man, if she can do this, I can totally do this. So I sat down and had lunch with Tim Irway. I was scared and nervous as can be, and sending out that Facebook message, I was like, sweating and everything else. And Tim Irway said yes. And so I drove out there with like $40 in my pocket, trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for lunch with this guy, and just making it happen. And I think once I made that happen, I just felt so relieved and so comfortable doing what I wanted to do. The next event is actually Doug. It's actually you. You are a huge moving force in my business last year. When you came up to me and we talked online, that's how we originally met. We just kind of knew each other through Elite Marketing Pro, and you said, "Hey, I'm a chef, you're a chef, let's build something together." And we came up with this 60-day challenge, and it was just off the fact that I had just met Tim Irway that I felt comfortable enough going to him and saying, "Yeah, you know what, Doug and I want to put together this 60-day challenge for Elite Marketing Pro members to help empower them and show them what this system is about, because we're not continuing that communication, that education with them." So you were a huge moving force for me last year in helping me stay on track and put tasks together. And actually that worksheet, that little, here's your daily plan of action for every week. These are the things that make you money. That for me was transforming my business, because I finally understood what actions I needed to take online. So it gave me a sense of purpose and what I needed to do. And then we got to train and meet some extraordinary members of this Elite Marketing Pro community. Some of the top leaders were coming on and sharing their biggest secrets. I mean, you were like, I was like in awe the whole time. I was like, I can't believe we're doing this. And we were just having so much fun building out communities and putting things together. And I mean, if it wasn't for you, I'm not sure I'd be where I am today. It was really your moving force that allowed me to be here. So thank you for that. And then I guess the second part was just going to No Excuses and just continuing on what we had done together with Elite Marketing Pro, and recognizing that there were people that didn't know this system. And you talked about it, like every day there's somebody coming into a new MLM, a new business, a new marketing system, and how can you best serve them? How can you provide a guidance to them? And I did that at No Excuses, not knowing any different from what we were doing in the 60-day challenge. And got recognized from there and wasn't expecting it, truly blown away. But, the expectation was set then that you kind of develop that personality, that role, and you just continue moving forward. So, the transition was a lot of little events and, a lot of networking, a lot of one-offs that happen. But it's amazing what happens when you're a little bold and you're a little daring, and that feeling of uncomfortableness when your stomach starts to flutter and your hands are shaking and all these doubts in the back of your head going, don't do this, this is stupid, people are going to totally hate you for this is a bad idea. And at that moment is when you do it anyways, because the only thing that's really holding you back is you, and there's nobody else that's really in your way except for you. So that is, I guess, my biggest transition for last year, and really what happened. And it wasn't all financially pretty. Doug and I both know this. We did 60-day challenges for free. There was no charge for this. We weren't making any money for this. But you know what? We learned to give, and I always felt, Doug, that the more we give, the more we helped other people, that the financial, the money would come. And that's always been my philosophy. So it didn't matter that I was bouncing checks on my bank account. It didn't matter I was going to Amscot to try to find loans to pay my rent, to put gas in my car, to put food on the table. Those were moments of my past. They weren't the definition of my future. So I wasn't going to let my there define my future and what I was. And I always tell people, and this is real quick, but it got so low. I actually know the pawn pretty well, but I carry this cross with me, and I actually had to pawn it, I think twice, 2 or 3 times. And so I know that this cross is this necklace that actually has my name inscribed in the back of it with the year I got it. I've had to pawn it twice, and I know it's worth $100. And that $100 got me through a month. If not once, it's twice. So
Yeah.
you know what, guys?
That's awesome.
It doesn't matter where you are at and how bad your situation is. If you believe and know that your future is going to be greater than this, then keep aspiring for that, because that's really going to make a difference in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, whether we had met or not, you would have, had huge success, and you'd have found your way to where you are right now, because that's who you are. And it's interesting to me, because a big part of, I think, a couple of the notes that I've written down here, things that contributed to taking you from where you were. I mean, just think, it was only a year ago, and where you are today, and it's like, holy cow. But the thing that really one of the things that really made the big difference was you just did something every day.
Mm-hmm.
And as you do stuff, and we got one question here from Bernadette about how can you share your boldness. I think it really comes down to, as human beings, we all become afraid. We all have that little voice on our shoulder that says, no, don't do that. Or we all have little things that happened to us way back when we can't even remember, and we don't even know what it was. And we get this crazy feeling inside of us that we call fear. And sometimes just saying the word can make you afraid.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess in order to be bold, is just be willing to just feel afraid, and then do what you want to do anyway. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you have to stop doing what you're doing and go to the refrigerator and eat something, or, run the other way, or go hide, or do whatever it is. Just do what you were going to do anyway, and just allow yourself to feel that. And as you do that, you will be, you would be considered bold. So before time runs out, because I don't want to let this go by, but tell us something about yourself that no one else has ever heard before.
I had all day to prepare for this, and I've been thinking about this question since this morning, since I knew this was going to come up, and I still don't have an answer for this one. Something that you guys don't know about me. You know what? Something that I've never really talked about that even shocked my roommate when we made the move to our place where I am now. But I unpacked about several different boxes of Star Wars paraphernalia. And I have a massive Star Wars figurine collection. I have a massive Star Wars pewter collection. So I am a huge pewter fan. I love pewter, and collecting Star Wars figurines and pewter is a big thing for me. So I have collections of pewter from, starships and all that other fun stuff. And then I have boxes and boxes of Star Wars figurines that I've collected. So with the new Star Wars coming out, I'm sure I'm just going to keep adding to this collection.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So we've still got, a couple of minutes left here. You're the one controlling the timer. So
you got like 30 seconds, actually.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you if you could give, some beginners your one major tip that was going to help them more than anything else, or the one thing that helped you more than anything else. What tip would you give them?
I would say the best tip that I learned was that perfection was a lie that we tell ourselves to stop us from taking action. As a beginner, guys, we're really afraid to say that getting a lead or getting a sale or doing something or learning something is not good enough. But I will tell you right now, the fact that you take and invest in yourself, the fact that you come and hang out with us on a 29-minute hangout, these are steps that most people don't take and most people aren't even aware of. So as a beginner, Ray says it best, invest in your education. So first thing you need to do is invest in your education, learn that skill, and then go out and teach other people. And trust me, because Doug said this too, guys, you know enough, you know more than enough. Once you study and once you read something, you know enough about it to go and teach and share what you've learned with somebody else. So go out and do that, and don't be afraid to do it, and don't wait to be perfect to do it. Don't wait to be successful before you do it. Success comes in the journey, guys. So be willing to go on the journey, be willing to make the mistakes, and in those mistakes, share them. share the mistakes you're making, because in that, guys, you're going to help more people, and you're going to change lives, and you're going to make a difference in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you all know more than you think you know, and so just share what you know, and what you'll discover is that you know more than you think you did. So, with that being said, you can see why Chef Katrina has, exploded into the internet marketing world as somebody to really pay attention to and to follow. What is your new title, by the way? I mean, what would you call your new title? I don't know what they call it, but what would you say your new role is at this point?
So I got brought on. Again, I did something bold and daring, and I sat down with Tim Irway, Matt Crystal, and I basically told them that I had created a position for myself inside of Elite Marketing Pro, and I was their community coordinator, and they needed to just hire me so that I can continue doing what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I don't like to manage people, so I decided that I was just going to be a community coordinator, or I just like to throw it out there, I'm a chaos coordinator. I like to control chaos, so I'm good at it, and apparently they recognize that, so that would be the role I've officially given myself for joining and working with the inner circle of Elite Marketing Pro.
Well, yeah, I think that's perfect. So Katrina lives in the eye of the storm. So, as we wrap up here, I mean, how can people connect with you, get more information from you, and yeah, go from there. How can people connect with you?
So to stalk me online, you're more than welcome to find me at thechefkatrina.com, or if you search social media for Chef Katrina, you'll find me also. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest. If you guys want to learn about Pinterest, hang out with me there, because right now I'm learning about promoted pins and marketing on Pinterest, so that's been a kind of a fun place. But yeah, just follow me at the Chef Katrina or thechefkatrina.com, and let's have some fun.
Okay. Well, that is awesome. So I think with that, we'll kind of wrap things up. We have a special guest next week, a member of our own Team on Fire, which is kind of fun to have one of our leaders show up. This guy has recruited 550 people in the last year. He's another restaurant guy. So it'll be fun to hear his story, and he's got a little bit of a Southern accent. So it'll be fun to hear from him too, Mr. Michael Penny. So with that, I think we will call this a wrap. Thank you, Katrina, so much. You offer so much to the community, to everybody involved, and you do so much for all of us. So I appreciate it, and I thank you. And we'll look forward to having you help me with the interview next week. So,
back on the other side again, yes.
Yeah. So great. Any final words of wisdom?
No, just make sure you guys are following us here at our Google Plus page, Elite Marketing Chefs, and then catch the replays on iTunes. All of them are up there, and Doug's up there also, so you can listen to Doug's interview that I did with him a couple weeks back, and check out who we've interviewed in the past. And it's going to be an exciting rest of the year. We've got some great speakers lined up. So thanks, guys, for joining us on the 29-minute Hangout.